Well, that was the longest intermission I've ever endured for a musical, but we're back with the second act, aka Wicked for Good. So the question is, did it live up to the hype? Hello everybody, welcome back. We are here to talk about Wicked for Good. I just watched it, and boy oh boy, do I have some thoughts on this movie. I went in with the most hype, in case that wasn't evident from my outfit, which I took a bit of inspiration from Glinda this year, but I'm not doing a straight up cosplay like I did last year with Elphaba, where I painted myself green. I have been a fan of this musical for a very long time, and I've been waiting for these movies for a very long time. So when I tell you the hype was palpable, I really mean that. So before I jump into this, I just want to say spoiler warning in effect, and I also want to know, who is your favorite character from Wicked and why do you love them? Let me know down in the comments below. So how was this movie? What did I think of it? Let's start off with the story. So in the stage musical and in the book, the story is different. It's very different in the book, obviously. I've talked about this in my review of the first part. The book is a lot darker. The musical is like more of a PG version. It does have moments. There are still some adult themes, but you know, it's a musical, so we don't go quite as deep as the book goes. The movie, Wicked for Good, does follow pretty closely with the stage musical adaptation, but there are a few flourishes here and there. We get like a flashback with Glinda when she's young. Jeff Goldblum as the wizard is getting some vocal support from Ariana Grande as Glinda in his song. There is some stuff that is just added in here, which is kind of crazy because at times it also feels like we're speed running what we're doing. So they've both expanded, and also at the same time it feels like kind of tried to shrink it, try to compact what they're doing. I don't know. But it's basically the same story. The music in Wicked for Good, the second act of this musical, is my favorite songs, to be honest with you. As Long as You're Mine, I love No Good Deed as well, but As Long as You're Mine and For Good are probably my favorite songs from the musical overall. I also really love No Good Deed. So, 3 songs, and they're all in Act 2. And guess what? We got bonus songs. Bonus songs is always a risky thing when they do that with musicals that are adapted into movies. And I feel like in recent years, it has become popular, pun not intended, with musical films. We saw it in Dear Evan Hansen. We got some original music added in for the movie, and I think it can be good, but overall I'd say varying degrees of success. And the problem is, being the theater nerd that I am, I feel like when you make the stage show and you make the soundtrack for that, you already know what the songs need to be. That's what we did in the stage show, and there's a reason why that's all we did in the stage show, is what I'm gonna say. The thing I appreciate about Wicked for Good is that they brought Stephen Schwartz in, so it is still Schwartz who is coming in to do this music, and he made these songs specifically for Cynthia Erivo as Elphaba and Ariana Grande as Glinda, which I appreciate. However, I will say that the music feels a little bit frivolous at times. I think especially Glinda's song, The Girl in the Bubble, is more frivolous, I found, than No Place Like Home. But No Place Like Home is also very on the nose. And there's already a lot of moments in this musical in general where they're like, look, it's like What Happened in The Wizard of Oz, which, by the way, there's less of that I find in the books. In the musical, that is an element of the stage show too, so it's true to form. It's true to form. And I think No Place Like Home at least had more of an emotional pull for me with that song. Cynthia Erivo's vocals are also insane. Look, if we're talking about music right now, I just want to say, across the board, the vocals are pretty insane. Other than Michelle Yeoh and Jeff Goldblum. But clearly, they are not here to give a dazzling musical performance. We cast them because they're very talented actors who are also big names. And so I think that is particularly why they were cast in this project. And I love Michelle Yeoh, but I know I said this in the first one, but girl, what is happening? I think my favorite part of Michelle Yeoh in this movie was her casting the storm spell and her hands, I was like, whoa, I wish we got to see more of Madame Morrible doing magic in this act, because I was zoned right into that. I was tuned right in. Jeff Goldblum clearly had a fun time with his song, Wonderful. And, we also have Glinda in the mix. And I think having the wizard and Glinda there to kind of try to get Elphaba on their side was really fun to see the two of them play off each other. And Ariana Grande offers great vocal support for Jeff Goldblum. He also did a little bit of tap dancing, which is a great homage to the stage show, where the wizard has basically like a tap break and does a whole tap dance in it, and it's so fun. But his vocals leave something to be desired, and Wonderful is a song that you can sing the heck out of it if you want. For most of both of these movies, Jeff Goldblum has just been basically playing himself, which does work with the wizard. But it's really at the end, I find, of this one, of For Good, that we actually get to see him have a little bit more to do emotionally. Although I think in For Good, he had more to do than he had with Wicked. So, hey, that's something. But let's talk about our leads in this film, because, we got 2 stars, okay? We got Cynthia Erivo and we got Ariana Grande. I loved them in the first movie, so how did I feel about them in For Good? I think that their performances are still great, but I just feel that it's not quite as strong as the first movie. And I'm trying to figure out what has really shifted for me to take this film down just a step or a half step, is how I'm feeling about it. I think it has to do with the fact that we've made some strange choices in terms of the direction, the blocking, and the cinematography. So stay tuned for some notes on those things. But just talking about the powerhouse performance of these 2 stars, I have to say, seeing Cynthia Erivo as Elphaba and Ariana Grande as Glinda together on screen again, especially their performance of For Good, it's everything. I love it so much. And I think that they both nailed, both vocally and in terms of their acting performance, For Good. They did a great job. I feel like the hard thing with this movie is a lot of what I really love about them is seeing them play off each other. And in the second act of the musical, they're just kind of off doing their own thing for a lot of it. We only get a few moments when they're together, and when they are together, they both shine so bright. Their fight after Nessa is taken out by the house and Elphaba is coming to try and get her sister's shoes back. Then they end up having a fight because Glinda gave them to Dorothy. I thought that was all really, really fun. And I think Glinda going through the loss of Fiyero initially was really well approached. But the problem is that I just feel like Ariana Grande as Glinda plays a better Glinda when she's got it all than Glinda when she's crying on the ground after the fall, after her wedding has been completely ruined by a parade of animals coming through. And she sings another song that I love from Wicked, the reprise of I'm Not That Girl. I love both versions of I'm Not That Girl, but something about Glinda's performance in the stage show, I always find so touching, because now we're seeing the mirror kind of crack. You kind of get to see behind the facade of Glinda, who is always putting on this smile. She's always beautiful and lovely. And so what happens when you realize that that's not enough? And also when that's all anyone sees when they look at you. Oh, it's heartbreaking. And I just wish I felt that a little bit more with Ariana Grande's performance. I still think she's amazing as Glinda, but there was just something missing. I feel like there's a little bit of a wall up when it comes to those more sad or forlorn elements of the story. And unfortunately in Act 2, that's pretty much what Glinda's doing. So yeah, it was challenging. This film is still really pretty, but it feels like it's a less lived-in world than the first film. The sets don't always feel as big. It feels like we have a few really big sets, and then some other sets that are more blue screen, and Elphaba's flying around, and where is anything? It doesn't feel as grounded because the world isn't as lived in. There's not as much going on. And it also has to do with the way that the sets are also captured, the way that the scenes are captured. When we have these big sets, they give us these wide establishing shots. When we're in Oz, like, goodness, the production value, wow. But when we are, at the castle with Elphaba, or even when we're out in the woods, to a lesser extent, we still have a set there, but it's smaller. It doesn't feel as grounded because we don't get as many big establishing shots. We don't get as much range with our cinematography. There's a lot of stuff that's shot like this, which also for a musical, you could go wider. Like, we could trust the physicality, I think, of the actors in a musical. And while the first Wicked has these really big numbers with a lot of choreography, I just feel like For Good had less of that. Now, that makes sense in terms of the stage musical. That's kind of the way it plays out in the stage musical too, I feel. These are smaller moments, smaller scenes. But while the scenes are still there and still unfold in a way that you can emotionally connect with, the amount of tears I cried in this movie was insane. There's a little bit left to be desired when it comes to letting these scenes breathe. Like I said, we added some stuff in, and then it feels like because of that, we're kind of speed running through so we can make that 2 hour and 15-minute runtime. I think they really didn't want to push it beyond that because the first movie was already so long, and it's already hard for people these days to sit, I think, for like a 2 hour movie. So anytime you go over it, it's like, what can we cut? But because of that, it also felt like they cut some weird stuff. Like sometimes in the music, it felt like they were cutting instrumentals in between vocals, like they were shortening it and speeding up the music. And I'm not sure how I feel about that. And the same goes for some of these acting moments. I think we kind of were speed running some of those moments, and we could have just sat in them and given ourselves a little bit more time to explore them fully. So weirdly, while it's 2 hours and 15, it feels jam-packed and also at the same time a little bit like there's not enough. But that being said, this is a story I've loved for a long time. I think they do it justice. I think the performances from our actors are really well done. I think the music, when it is actually being sung, is very well sung. And I love the sort of individual flourishes that Arrivo and Grande both bring to their roles and really, I feel, still make them their own. Does Ariana lean a little bit more into a Kristen Chenoweth vibe in this one? Does she rely a little bit more on that basis? Perhaps. But she still embodies everything I want in Glinda. And when she is on, she is freaking on. The end when she is sassing Madame Morrible and serving her back the lines that Morrible flung at her back when they were in school. Perfection. Perfection. Her in the bubble, perfection. So there's so many moments here where I think both actresses really get to shine. It's hard because with the first Wicked, the bar was set so high. That movie is a masterpiece. So the fact that this bar is a little lower, it's still good. I'm still satisfied as a Wicked fan. And if you're a Wicked fan, definitely go watch it. I definitely still want to own it. I don't think they ruined Wicked, but they just set the bar so high and then they lowered it. Why did they do that? Why did they do that? Maybe it's because they knew we were all already going to come to see the movie. Maybe it's just that was the directional choice that Chu wanted to go in. I will be looking into it, and maybe I'll do another video where I provide some notes on the making of this film, because I am intrigued to kind of find out what shifted between Wicked and For Good. The other thing is the ending of this movie just happens really fast. So it's like one thing after the other, and who knows how much time has passed. And I feel like in the musical, it feels like time passes in between scenes. We had less of that with the film adaptation in terms of how it feels for the passage of time. Anyways, I've talked already for far too long about this movie. Overall, I did really like it. I know I've been in here and I've been nitpicking things, but I think the performances were all still really well done. And although there's some stuff that I would have just preferred for it to go a different way, there's still some great reveals here. I'm not even going to spoil those for you guys because I want you to experience them for the first time yourself if you are not familiar with the stage show. So please don't spoil them in the comments. That's all I got to say. Overall, I would give this one a 4 out of 5. I still really love it. I still think it's a great movie. I'm even tempted to give it a 4.5, but I think I'm going to stick with 4 because there's just some things that I think could have been done better. But it's still a great movie, and I hope you go to watch it, and I hope you love it. And I mean, I hope that we get more. I mean, I don't think we'll get more of that's the musical, that's it. But I hope we get more musicals because of this movie, and I hope it does well. I would love for there to be a musical resurgence. You know? Remember the early 2000s when musical movies were a thing, and every now and then we just get one like every year or so? It was a good time. Chicago, Phantom of the Opera. It was a good time. That's all I have for this one. I'll see you guys in the next one. And until then, friends, as always, stay nerdy. Bye. And if you love when I talk about magic, you need to check this out.